Do you want to die? You want to?
Oh man, if I was to leave this planet, it wouldn't be no big deal to me, because this is a wicked, wicked world.
From getting caught in tragic accidents to leading dark cults and becoming the face of pure evil, these are times when women from around the world were executed in some of the most disturbing and controversial ways ever. Starting with a teenage girl who was accused of murder in a foreign land. Rizana Nafeek. Rizana Nafeek was a young Sri Lankan girl who went to Saudi Arabia at the age of just 17 to work as a maid. Her passport was changed to make her appear older, showing she was born in 1982 instead of 1988. This change was made so she could bypass Sri Lankan laws that did not allow people under 18 to work abroad. She arrived in Saudi Arabia on May 4, 2005. Just 18 days later, on May 22, 2005, the 4-month-old baby she was taking care of died.
Rizana Nafeek's mother, grandmother and sister were present at her residence in Muttur during our brief visit. Everyone is engaged in religious observances to ensure that Rizana returns home. She travelled to Saudi because of the hardships here. She went with the hope of educating her siblings. She sacrificed her own education.
According to Rizana, the baby choked on milk while drinking from a bottle. But the family accused her of killing the baby on purpose after arguing with the mother. Saudi authorities did not do an autopsy to confirm how the baby died. A confession was taken from Rizana, but she did not understand it because it was in Arabic and no translator was present. She was sentenced to death on June 16, 2007. Despite global appeals and the Sri Lankan president asking for mercy, Rizana was beheaded on January 9, 2013. She had spent almost 6 years in prison before her execution. Sachiko Eto. Sachiko Eto was a Japanese woman who claimed to have psychic powers. Between 1994 and 1995, she led a small religious cult and performed deadly exorcism rituals on her followers. During these rituals, Sachiko and her group beat people with drumsticks and other wooden objects, claiming they were removing evil spirits. These beatings turned deadly. Over a period of 7 months, 6 people were killed in Fukushima Prefecture. The victims were all cult members who had come to her for help. Her group included her own daughter and 2 men named Hiroshi Namoto and Mitsuo Sakine. On July 5, 1995, after one of the cult members was taken to the hospital with serious injuries, the police began investigating. When they arrived at Sachiko's home, they found 6 decomposing bodies hidden inside. All 4 members of the group were arrested. Eto's accomplices were sentenced to prison for 18 years to life. Sachiko Eto was sentenced to death. After several appeals, her sentence was finally carried out on September 27, 2012, when she was 65 years old. She was hanged, as hanging is the primary method of execution in Japan. Aileen Wuornos.
You know, at 9:30 tomorrow morning, are you prepared?
I'm prepared. I'm all right. I'm all right with it.
And how...
I'm who I was. After Richard Mallory died, I left prints everywhere, and they covered it up. And let me kill the rest of those guys to turn me into a serial killer. I know they did, because I was no professional serial killer or anything, murderer, or whatever you want to call it, you know.
Aileen Wuornos was an American woman born in 1956. Between 1989 and 1990, she murdered 7 men while working as a sex worker in Florida. Wuornos claimed that all the killings were done in self-defense because the men had either raped or tried to rape her, but the courts did not believe her story. She was arrested in early 1991. During her trial, she was found guilty of 6 murders and was given 6 death sentences. Aileen spent 11 years on death row before being executed by lethal injection on October 9, 2002, at the age of 46. Her life was extremely troubled. She had been abandoned as a child, lived on the streets, and had a long history of abuse. Her story later gained international attention. In 2003, a film titled Monster was released, with actress Charlize Theron playing the role of Aileen. Theron won an Oscar for her performance. The film showed Aileen not only as a criminal, but also as a deeply broken human being shaped by years of suffering. Melina Mercouri.
What do the paintings in the Sistine Chapel mean to Italy? The Parthenon marbles are our pride. They are our identity. They are today's link with Greek excellence. They They are creations synonymous with our concepts of democracy and freedom.
Mélina Mouton was a French woman who lived in Berouaghia, Algeria, when it was still under French control. She became known as the Berouaghia poisoner after she poisoned 11 people in 1943. 7 of those victims died, including some of her family members. She used a deadly chemical called sodium arsenite, buying 200 grams of it from a local pharmacy. Mouton told the pharmacist that she needed it to kill ants in her home. Instead, she used it to poison food and drinks given to her victims. Among the poisoned were her own child and her husband. While some survived, others quickly died from the effects. By late 1943, her behavior drew suspicion, and the police began an investigation. She was arrested and put on trial. Her court case started on November 15, 1947. Just 2 days later, on November 17th, she was found guilty of all charges. She was executed by guillotine on April 10, 1948, becoming one of the last women in France to face such a punishment. Moments before her death, she cried out for her children. Amina bint Abdul Halim. In 2011, a 60-year-old Saudi woman named Amina bint Abdul Halim bin Salam Nasser was executed in Saudi Arabia. She was accused of practicing sorcery, which, although not clearly listed as a crime in Saudi law, is treated very seriously there.
The verdict, shocking. The sentence, even more so. A Saudi woman beheaded. Her crime? Practicing witchcraft and sorcery. According to Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Interior, Amina bint Abdul Halim Nasser was executed on Monday.
According to reports, Amina charged people large amounts of money, sometimes as much as $800, for services that claim to cure illnesses or solve personal problems through magic or spiritual rituals. Saudi Arabia is one of the only countries in the world that still carries out public beheadings. In this case, Amina's execution shocked many because it was not for murder or terrorism, but for allegedly using witchcraft. There were no specific written laws defining what exactly counted as sorcery, and there were serious questions about whether she had a fair trial. She had no lawyer, and there is little information about the evidence used against her. Amnesty International and many human rights groups criticized the execution, calling it unfair and a violation of basic legal rights. Antonina Makarova. Antonina Makarova was born in the Soviet Union and became one of the most hated women in Soviet history. During World War II, around 1941, she got separated from her military group when the German army invaded.
The Germans gave her alcohol to steady her nerves, and after that, she no longer needed it for subsequent executions. Occasionally after firing, she would approach the bodies, and if any were still moving, she would shoot them in the head again.
Instead of being captured or killed, she chose to help the Nazis. Between 1942 and 1943, she worked for them in the Lokot region of Russia. She used a Maxim machine gun made in 1910 to kill Soviet prisoners. Usually, she shot 27 people at a time because that was the number the local jail could hold. Over time, she killed hundreds of Soviet citizens. Many of them were partisans who fought against the Nazis. After the war ended in 1945, she changed her name and lived quietly for over 30 years. In the late 1970s, a person from Lokot recognized her. She was arrested, tried, and sentenced to death. In 1979, she was executed by the Soviet government. Martha Beck. Martha Beck was involved in one of the most shocking murder cases in American history. Between 1947 and 1949, she and her partner Raymond Fernandez killed up to 20 people.
1947. So we've got Martha Beck and Raymond Fernandez, who were also known as the Lonely Hearts Killers. Raymond Fernandez was a con man, and he responded to a Lonely Hearts ad that had been placed in the paper by a woman called Martha Beck.
They used newspaper ads to find lonely women looking for love. These ads were known as Lonely Hearts ads. Martha would pretend to be Raymond's sister to make the women feel safe. Most victims were women who believed Raymond wanted to marry them. Martha became very jealous whenever Raymond got close to other women, even if it was part of their plan. If he slept with them, she would become violent. After gaining the victim's trust, they would rob and then kill them to avoid getting caught. Their crimes took place in several states across the U.S. In 1949, they were finally arrested. Their trial got huge attention in the news. Both were found guilty and executed by electric chair in Sing Sing Prison, New York, in 1951. Mary Ann Cotton.
In order to play her, you have to have some sort of understanding what would drive a woman to do this.
Well, you have to sort of like definitely get into the mindset, and obviously, you know, she ends up definitely down the line of psychopathy, but it's that sort of age-old question, nature or nurture. Would this woman have done these terrible things if she was in a different time, in a different situation?
Mary Ann Cotton was one of the most terrifying women in British history. She was born in 1832 and used arsenic to kill many of her own family members. Between the 1850s and early 1870s, she is believed to have murdered 11 of her 13 children and 3 of her 4 husbands. That means at least 14 people died because of her. She used poison in tea or food, making the victims suffer from long and painful illnesses before dying. Her goal was usually money, life insurance, and inheritance. Her last victim was her stepson, who died under suspicious circumstances. An autopsy confirmed arsenic poisoning. She was arrested, tried, and found guilty. On March 24, 1873, she was executed in Durham County Jail. Her death was also painful because the rope used in her hanging was too short. Instead of breaking her neck instantly, it caused her to slowly die by strangulation. She was 41 years old at the time of her death. Peroska Janko Ladany. Peroska Janko Ladany was just 20 years old when she was executed, but by then she had already killed 5 young girls. Her crimes happened between 1953 and 1954 in Hungary. Her first known victim was an 11-year-old girl named Margit Komaromi. She lured Margit to her house by offering fries. Inside, she strangled the child using an electric wire. Then she did shocking and disgusting things to the body before dumping it into a well. A few weeks later, she killed a 13-year-old chicken seller the same way. Peroska had a strange and dangerous urge, and she used murder to satisfy it. Over 2 years, she killed 5 girls aged between 10 and 15. Her 6th victim managed to escape and told the police everything. She was arrested and confessed. On December 12, 1954, she was hanged in Szolnok prison. She remains one of Hungary's youngest and most disturbing serial killers in history. Daisy de Melker. Daisy de Melker was one of the most feared women in South Africa. Born in 1886, she poisoned people close to her to collect money from life insurance. She married 3 men, and 2 of them died under suspicious conditions. But the crime that led to her execution was the murder of her own son. In February 1932, she bought arsenic from a pharmacy in Turfontaine. She told the seller she needed it for a sick cat. A few days later, on March 2nd, her 20-year-old son Rhodes fell sick after drinking coffee she made. His co-worker also got sick but survived. Rhodes died on March 5, 1932. At first, doctors thought he had malaria, but later tests found arsenic. A chemist who had sold her the poison recognized her in a newspaper and called the police. She was arrested and tried for the murder of her son and 2 husbands. In December 1932, she was hanged in Pretoria Central Prison. She was the 2nd woman ever to be executed in South African history. And that's all we have for today's episode. Don't forget to give this video a like and also ring that notification bell while you're down there.